In CVM News at 7 tonight, Prime Minister tours some of the worst affected by recent rains. Jamaica, the hub for blue justice, tackling transnational crime in the fisheries sector. And head of the UTech School of Public Health Technology, Professor Winston Davidson, has died. From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7. It's Sunday, November 19, 2023. I'm TK Dawkins. Last night, Prime Minister Andrew Holness returned to an island that had endured elevated rainfall levels as a result of the passage of potential tropical cyclone number 22. Tonight, we begin our broadcast with insight into how he was briefed by the relevant agencies. Joel Crosskill reports.
On the tarmac of the Norman Manley International Airport, having just landed from a period of official travel, Prime Minister Andrew Holness was given an update on the damage that was wrought by the severe weather conditions that challenged Jamaica in his absence. Manager of Communications and Customer Service at the National Works Agency, Stephen Shaw, highlighted the most affected locations.
PM, as you know, we had heavy rainfall a couple of days. And the parishes of St. Catherine, St. Andrew, St. Thomas, and St. Catherine, St. Thomas, St. Andrew, and Portland were the ones mostly affected, with St. Thomas and St. Andrew getting the brunt of the impact. We still have some roads that remain impassable, about 5 or so. To the extent that these roads can be reopened, we should be able to do so before the weekend is through. We have one that we know it is unlikely that that corridor is going to be reopened. That is the road from Bethel to Richmond Vale in St. Thomas. That has been cut off. It's a major breakaway, so it requires significant civil works. We have a couple of roads in St. Andrew that remain impassable, to include that from Silver Hill Gap to Guava Ridge and the Skyline Drive. The Papine to Bull Bay Road remains impassable, but that has been impassable since the earthquake, when some huge boulders came on it. And there's an attempt now to try and get that particular situation dealt with.
The Prime Minister said that it was important, as part of his security briefing upon return to the island, that an update be provided on the impact on lives as a result of flood damage and reports of land slippage.
And there were no reports of any deaths as a result of
Thankfully, we didn't have any reports of any deaths occurring as a result of the system. What we do have, though, are situations where persons are threatened, either because of collapsed embankments or structures being washed out. In the case of...
we have lost a few homes.
We have, and in St. Thomas, there are a couple of communities where the Plantain Garden River has eroded its bank, and there are some persons there who are now threatened.
The Prime Minister also inquired as to the number of homes that were lost before committing to a damage assessment tour that got underway at 10 this morning from Hordley in St. Thomas. Joel Crosskill, CVM News.
And CVM News cameras were there this morning when the Prime Minister began his aerial and on-the-ground tour of both St. Andrew and sections of St. Thomas that were most impacted as a result of the prolonged rainfall. Joel Crosskill continues our coverage.
We did both tour by air and by road. For St. Andrew, our tour was by air. We looked at damage in East Rural St. Andrew, which was quite extensive, especially in the Guava Ridge area.
In Willowfield, St. Thomas, the Prime Minister heard stories like this one from Miss Howell, a farmer.
It just covered with bare water and wash out. We plant about an acre of sweet potato that gone. We do the lawn grass, it bank up with sand, and once it bank up with the sand, it cannot read.
Generally, the response, I think, would be good. There are some areas that, because of their remoteness, we may not have been able to get to. And I know that there are persons who are still expecting the government to provide support in terms of food and shelter and other forms of support, and that will be mobilized through the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. As you can see behind me here, tractors are mobilized already. I gather there would be 70 odd roads that were affected, blocked, but I would say about 95% of those roads have been cleared.
While the most common request appears to be for building grants, Prime Minister Holness called for a deeper appreciation of where people are choosing to settle.
Coming from the tour by ear especially, it is clear that some Jamaicans have chosen to live in areas which are dangerous to live in, because those areas are susceptible to weather events. I would use this opportunity to urge Jamaicans that we understand the issues of settlement, we understand the issues of housing and where you can find marginal land to live on and so forth, but you should, in seeking to settle, in seeking to live, to find a place to live, take into consideration the environmental issues and the climate change issues.
Joel Crosskill, CVM News.